Welcome to the Dance to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how life is a dance. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that mind and body connected movement is vital to healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I created Dance to Heal Wellness featuring the Spotlight Confidence Formula and also authored the best-selling award-winning book, Outside In Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new ways to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Hello, welcome to the Dance to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. I am so excited about having Karlyn here today now. Before we get started, because I had to stop our conversation so we wouldn't miss the nuggets that were coming up before I hit record, I want to tell you that Karlyn is the founder and lead strategist of Snap, social creator of the Fan Firestarter Framework. Here's the thing though, I'm here because I really want her platform around Expert Excellence Engine, which is a strategic program for nonfiction authors and thought leaders who finish a book and then think, well, now what? I was in that same boat, folks. In 2023, I launched my nonfiction, which I didn't even know what that meant at the time. I mean, I love library books, but I didn't know. I just wrote a book about my post-breast cancer journey and how I had to pull myself out of the hole of survivorship into thriveship. I've spent a lot of money through a reputable. At the time, I didn't even understand what hybrid publishing was. I didn't know that I was actually going to be coming, with their help, publishing a book under my own account on Amazon. I didn't understand any of that. And I kind of wish I had you, Karlyn, here, well, you're here now for people, but I wish I had you back in January 2023 to know what to do, because I've been floundering, trying to figure out what to do. But before we do that, welcome to the podcast, Karlyn.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. And I also just want to say it's not too late. Like, you can keep it going.
I agree. So I do know quite a number of people who really struggle with who am I to write a book? I want to start there first. Like, why would anyone ever write a nonfiction book?
I think that's the question that everyone needs to start with. Like, it's more than a legacy. I think some people write it from a legacy perspective. But more often than not, people just feel like they have to have the book to, achieve XYZ goal. For a while, in order to get access to a stage and, deliver keynotes and workshops and things like that, the book served as a key that opened that door. That is part of the entire ecosystem. But I'm always challenging authors who are like, I'm going to write a book. Okay, what are you going to write it on? Is it going to be evergreen enough for you to make it part of your ecosystem? Because yes, we need to think about it like as a product at first, but really it's more than that. It's really a business asset in its entirety. So how are we applying our book to be one of the building blocks of our business moving forward? And sometimes, not all the time, people are getting wised up to it now. Sometimes people figure that part out a little too late. And they're kind of stuck in this place of like, how do I position this book now to feed my business in a way that maybe I didn't originally plan for? And there are absolutely ways to figure that out, but it gets a little harder.
It does,
and the clarity gets a little fuzzy for a little while.
Well, I want to clarify my amazing audience. The reason why I have Karlyn on this interview is because she also is very well known for being a social media, and she owns a social media agency. And part of why people are successful is because they're actually known already as an authority when they publish the book. So they have this wide-ranging audience, and a lot of us don't have the audience at first, and we're struggling to justify the expense or time or energy in writing a book when I swear to God, y'all, every one of us are our own Oprah shows. If people knew what was really happening behind the scenes there's no one with a boring life. I'm sorry. I just don't. Everyone has a Oprah-worthy show, right, in their lives behind the scenes. And when you feel the call, and some of you listening right now do feel the call, Karlyn is here to be like, hey, I have a way that can help you be seen when you write your book versus you write your book and you feel kind of silly because you wrote it and who's it for? How do you get it out there?
Yeah. It's really about stepping in and stepping up and owning that authority that you've built behind the scenes for far too long and you're really to be visible. And I always, you position that like kind of challenge perfectly. It's like, well, I don't really have like a huge audience in this particular industry. Like my audience is like peers and all of that. What I want to kind of reframe that a little bit, and people get all bent out of shape about the vanity metrics around being visible. And I always kind of equate it back to the good old days of the yellow pages. You remember that?
Yes.
Right? Where it was like if you had any type of business or you had any type of expertise, you had to put an ad in there and just pray that someone would land on like the letter T for your business or the letter O for like if you're O snap for me. Like everyone was naming their businesses numbers or like things that started with A because you were in the front. But we used to have to pay to be in those. And the majority of people use them as step stools in their kitchen. Okay? Like, so that has faded away because of the internet. And the internet allows our expertise to work for us full time versus like in a captive audience setting, like being a guest on a podcast or standing on our stage or leading an event or a workshop. That's where your expertise is really working part time for you. The internet allows you to amplify it out there to build your authority over time. And I always say over time, it's a long-term strategy no matter how you shake it, no matter how many people say you can go viral in 30 seconds. Like that is so cute and also not reality. So,
And honestly, too, Carlin, a lot of people go viral for not the audience that they're actually trying to serve in the beginning.
yes,
It's
that's
a
the
bit of
worst.
a, right? It's like like I've gone viral for things that were not relevant to my offers or what I wanted to talk about because I thought it was a really cool
Mm,
video and I reframed it for my point of view and it went
yeah.
viral, but they couldn't track it back to me, right? And
Yeah.
it's been for me, I would say it's been going on 2 years of posting nearly every day. That some of the videos, the reels that had me in it, are starting to get traction, and it's been this
That part.
right, the daily grind, the
Yeah.
boringness of the daily posts on every social media platform. I had the energy to handle at the time
Yes.
because here's the thing too. I was just on scrolling and this Asian American woman in tech was talking about how sometimes you can go viral for not the correct thing. And
Hmm.
she ended up with an audience of like mostly men that misinterpreted her viral content.
Yes, it
And
happens all the
she's
time.
right. And she's trying to
Yep.
be about women in tech and STEM. And people are making like horrible insinuations in her comments. And for me, it's been this I don't think I was ready for virality for me. My
Yeah.
nervous system wasn't ready. So
Yeah.
you want to be practicing and figuring it out when no one knows us, folks. Like,
That is
so,
such a
right?
good point. Like to put in the reps now, so when that viral moment happens, like you're prepared, and your skin maybe has gotten a little bit thicker. I also I've seen that moment for a lot of people where they go viral for the wrong thing. And yes, the we all know puppies and babies are internet gold, but like always, 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 no matter what it is, tie it back to something relevant in your business or your industry or your book or um because what I've also seen and the reason why a lot of these kind of go viral is because it's striking a chord with people, right? It's more of that like opinionated style, unpopular hot take alert, like those types of pieces of content that people typically won't go toward. Those are the pieces of content that go viral. So whatever position is that you're sharing, whatever shade you may or may not be throwing, own it. Because if it goes viral, you're gonna have to stand 2 feet down, all 10 toes down on that. And so you just have to be ready. And it has
Exactly.
to feel authentic because there's nothing worse than going viral for the wrong thing and then being like, oh, I got all these people and
It's
now they're not the right people.
so I want to explain something first of all, because okay, so audience, before we get too much further in the interview, remember Carlin is accessible at her website, which is osnapsocial.com. I'm going to spell it out for you. OHSNAPSOCIAL.com. Okay. So you want to go there. She has some free resources there. Like for me, I've through many mentors on Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok and Facebook, I've started to finally understand a tiny bit about the algorithms or what
Mm,
they when you click on a reel and it tells you insights about like who is really watching. Are they followers versus non-followers? Are they male or female? What's the age category? What regions they're located in?
Mm-hmm.
Right. For me, it's been just this really interesting thing. Like sometimes Instagram will be like, your audience is usually on between 12 and 2, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I post and I get nothing. But if I post at 7 p.m. on trial reels, my posts will hit 1,000 before I get to midnight, and then I make them public. Right. So like you still have to trust your instinct, and at the same
Yes.
time, right, Carlin, for someone who is like really wanting to start hitting that directory, what would you suggest they do besides go to osnapsocial.com and access your free resources? But before that, is there anything they need to be aware of before they do that?
I think the biggest thing from like an algorithmic shift that we're seeing is one, we can and never should try to predict the mood of the algorithms. They're meant to ebb and flow and change on purpose. And some people are like, oh, if I could just figure out the algorithm, you never will. So we all need to stop trying. However, that being said, something that has been happening, and you might be seeing it on your feeds as well, is everything is starting to become more interest based. So that means like as you're scrolling, you'll be finding more people that you don't follow actually. And it'll say like, are you interested? Are you not interested? Because the algorithm ultimately wants to entertain you and wants you to stay on their app forever and ever. Amen. That being said, there's two amazing things about that. One, it allows you as a creator or a business owner who maybe doesn't have like a whopping huge following to show up in people's feeds that are interested in what you have to say. But in order to do that, in order for the algorithm to understand who you are and what you do, you have to continuously apply identifiers in your captions, in your on screen text, and the words that come out of your mouth. So it's not enough to say, hey, small business owners, you would say like small business owners who are under, $100,000 a year, who are having a book coming out next week, this one's for you. Specificity. And for a lot of us, it's really, really, really hard to get that granular without feeling like we're exiling all of the other people who we actually do serve. But in order to make it easy for the algorithm to serve it up from an interest-based perspective, that's the strategy we need to start kind of taking hold of, testing and trial reels. I love that you're doing that. That is really smart, Jenny. And then continuing to tweak and test, tweak and test, tweak and test. Because it isn't even playing field. It's really easy to be like, well, this person has like 1 million followers. Okay, good for that person. But unless all of those people are paying me $1, I don't care. Like,
That's
and I've
key.
been saying this for years, and like finally people are like, yeah, the number count of followers don't really matter. I'm like, great. So when you're in your insights, I don't want you to look at like how many followers you got from that reel necessarily. I want you to look at like how many of the people that you served it to actually were non-followers, because that also tells us a lot too, that we're reaching more people. Because I have a client, and I'll just give this one example, we can move on, is she's a parenting coach. She's had consistently around 250 some thousand followers. Okay. We've been working with her for 3 years. Our followers count has like increased and then dips. It's like one of these fun little roller coaster rides, up and down and up and down and up and down. Really about. But what we're really looking at is the engagement pieces. How many of these people that are following us are seeing our content? How many people who are getting served it are following after and engaging? As well as those not, what's that non-follower number? Because that means we're still showing it to people who aren't following us. They're still seeing her as an option for their parenting woes. And then they're engaging. You don't need to follow in order to engage. So we need to maybe start shifting the metric that we're tracking to something different. And so for us, that metric also has to match the content of the post. So like it's not like, I think one of the carousels was like how to not raise entitled children. Cool. It's not a good metric to measure a share, because I don't think anyone's going to want to share that they're not trying to raise entitled children. But the saves, oh yeah, like let's see that. Like, so that was the metric we were looking at to determine if that was a pattern that we were seeing in her collective content, to double down on that. So yeah.
I love that. And the repost one, I think Instagram is taking note of how often your posts are getting reposted, because when I repost things, my audience sees those quicker because
Mm-hmm.
I've reposted them. So my audience of
That's
followers
super
will
smart.
see them. And I've noticed like even some creators were saying, you should be liking your own posts and reposting your own posts. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, you have to be your own fan. Like, you don't have to be humble
Hmm.
about that. And I went, oh, okay, I'm gonna do that. And then some people were saying, do not repost your stories. I reposted my stories and my views
You
increased,
have to.
right? Because my followers don't see anything. They're somewhere
Correct.
floating off in the ethers with all their people they're following. So I
Yes.
think a lot of this, I love what you're doing right now because I think for me, part of me getting my book out more is this willingness to be seen on social media.
Yeah.
Gary Vaynerchuk talks about how everything's going to be monetized. So why aren't you taking advantage of free everything right now? I mean, Instagram just right.
Exactly.
Like LinkedIn's free right now. There's option to be free. Instagram's still free. TikTok's still free. Facebook is they're all sort don't going towards monetization. Understand that they are already moving towards that. But
Hmm.
it's all free. That's free advertising versus if I were to take on an ad, I have to compete against all the big companies right now with their millions. I have like $10 maybe per day.
Yeah.
I can't compete against those big names, but I can get my name out.
Yes. Absolutely. And back in the day we had to buy the Yellow Pages ad.
That's right.
So like today it's free and why wouldn't you show up? And I always tell people like when you show up, it has to feel in a way that feels authentic to you, but also know that if it's not video by chance, you got to figure something else out because video is the fastest way to build trust, period, and scene, like that is what's going to change the game for you. And like it doesn't always have to be talk to camera. It can be B-roll of you doing your thing or you dancing, right? Like it could be with like a word wall, right? Which is like that large chunk of text that you think no one has enough time to read, but they do because they watch the reel like 4 times in the 5 seconds that you have your content out there, which is the point.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And then so um, I want to talk about what we started off this conversation about the writing a book that's part of your business plan. Can
Hmm.
we talk a little bit more about that? Because I think that's really important. Like when I signed on with a fairly expensive person to produce my book, right? Like really, like in this day and age, I really didn't need to spend the 5 digits. Okay, it was
Hmm.
ridiculous, honestly.
Hmm.
But I didn't know, so I was sold on the fact that through my book, that I could give my book away, and then no one reads it. By the way, okay, you give those books, no one's reading it. But I
Yep.
was under the assumption they were going to read my book, love what I suggested, and then I was going to get sales out of that. That was how I was sold on this program. And for me, the process of writing the story was really important. I did a
Hmm.
lot of like soul searching and healing through writing the book. So that's
Yeah.
number one. However, the business end of it, like how does give us an overview of the Karlyn excellence engine approach to writing a book slash business thing with just a vague understanding because
Yeah.
I think some of us don't even understand what that means.
I wish I had all the answers to this.
Right.
I am also a student of this. I've seen a lot because I've worked with over 40 authors in my agency side of my business. And that's when I really realized there was like this gap of like sprinting to the finish line, getting it published, and then the publisher kind of just like fades away or like does one of those like Homer Simpson like bushes, like they're just like, and we're leaving. And you're just like, wait, I have one more question. And I kept seeing it. I saw it inside. I had the pleasure and the privilege of like working inside Advantage Media, which has imprints like Forbes Books and Entrepreneur, and I was in there and I was like, these people are also spending gobs of cash to get their book out there with that imprint. And then there was nothing next.
Well, I mean, unless I paid
Unless
for
you paid
an
like,
audiobook. That was
yep,
another,
yep,
4 digits. Like I
yeah,
was
it
like,
just,
I just gave you 5 digits of money. Like, why can't
it
that be
just,
part of my program?
right. Well, and then the thing that's crazy is like, then there's nothing. It's like, we're going to create a marketing plan. And then the plan is just like, you get to do it all.
Pretty much. I was
Good
told
job.
to,
If
I
you
was
even
trying to,
get the plan.
well, I was given a bonus call where I was told, every quarter you should be booking your own book tours, like approaching businesses on your bookstores on your own to present your book for like a book signing. and kind of lying about how, like, they brought me in. No, I pushed my way in. Let's just
Yeah.
real talk, right? And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I just wrote a book, and I
Like,
just
I'm
had surgery, and my
tired.
husband was
Like,
just in the hospital. I was like, I don't want to call bookstores and force them to let me have a book signing. I can't do that. Like, I
yeah.
don't want to do that. So,
And that's why I think like developing this visibility habit before your book is live, during your book launch, and then during your launch, and then knowing that if there's a continuation after, that it just like keeps going is something that is underrated in today's world from like especially authors who are delightfully humble in a lot of ways and are like, I don't want to sound cringy or I don't want to look silly online. Like, why would I talk to my book until the cows come home? Because you have to, because no one's going to know that it exists unless you do, because no one's going to care, including the publisher, more about your book than you, period. And we have to, as thought leaders and experts in our field, continue to shout from the rooftops, a la Sound of Music style, The Hills Are Alive, about it. As long as our content is relevant, our book is in a complete asset to continue to market it, to continue to market our story, to continue to market our business and our message from a personal brand perspective and a business perspective. But you have to know, like, what is the point? Why did I write this book? Is it to get on stages? Is it to gain more clients? Is it both? Is it to get on podcasts? Is it to just like have a legacy project, which is fine and dandy, but like none of that. If you don't tell people about, your book's never going to sell, and you're not going to have those other things too that you want. So we kind of have to like get out of our own way, because we're the ones that have to execute on that, or we have to your point, hire it out. And this whole like concept of this expert excellence engine that I kind of packaged together was to fill that gap of like what comes next. And I've also had authors come into this kind of group program done with you, handhold, step by step, let's go do this thing, in that editing phase where like their draft is done, they've passed it off to a developmental editor who's like doing their thing, and then they're like, okay, like I feel like I need to do something with my hands to like keep myself busy. Like, what do I do? They come into my program, they kind of prop up their entire AI content engine, and they're ready to go. And that's the thing, is like you wrote, pardon my French, a whole ass book.
yeah.
Can we use like little snippets and like little things from it to like post online to like tell people that you have a book, that you have thought leadership? Because you can't be a leader if you're not willing to lead the thoughts. Like, you can't be a thought leader if you're not willing to lead the thoughts.
Yes.
And you put that on a t-shirt or something.
I know. That should be one of your t-shirts, Karlyn.
I'm like, swag shop coming soon.
No, seriously, I swear to goodness, you have to. I mean,
Yeah.
so audience members, full disclosure, Karlyn and I are part of a mastermind through Jen Kim about thought leadership. Jen wants more women to be leaders. Men, you're included too, okay? However, there is a plethora of men, mostly white, who are well known on the best-selling Times list, right? And not a lot of women are propped up these days.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want you, because my audience is also predominantly women. Men, you're welcome, stay. And we want you to know, right? When I wrote my book, it was for the me right after I was done with breast cancer treatment, feeling completely lost and not safe in my body and guilty and angry all at the same time. And then because I was so explicit, it was like almost it was a love letter to the me when I was released from the every 6-month care. And they were like, okay, we'll see you next year. I'm like, what? Like, I've been seeing you every month, every 3 weeks for 2 years. And now you're going to release me to the wilds? What am I supposed to do with myself? And I came up with the process of how to deal with it. However, because I was addressing things I never knew were what brought me to a cancer risk in the first place, a lot of my clients are the me before I got cancer. Like, they read in themselves and that. And I would also get feedback from people. There was a local person who I gifted her to give to her mother, and her mother's reading and bawling, and then she's reading and bawling because the mom said no one ever shared thoughts of that. Like, no one understood what it really felt like, and she never had someone write what she was feeling that she didn't know how to express. And then the daughter was reading it to the mother, reading it and going, Mom, I didn't know that's how you felt. So it was really exciting to get that feedback. And,
Connecting
it was
people.
girl, it was like a labor of love. However, my point is that now it's become a part of my do-it-yourself program for people who cannot afford the time or energy to do my one-on-one coaching, right? Because it's really important. So audience members, if you're hearing any of this resonate, make sure you go to Karlyn's website, osnapsocial.com. and start, get in touch with her, get on her email list, use the resources. Okay. And then if you need nervous system deactivation, because that stuff will like rock your boat a tiny bit, make sure you go to movetobloom.com. The live classes, when this actual interview launches, are no longer available. I'm not doing the live webinars anymore. The live master classes, you will get a recording. You'll get extra recording that gives the best of all my classes to you. And then you can book a call with me later. Karlyn, what are one or two things that prevents from people from starting the journey, like so they recognize the sign of writing a book? What are the two things or one thing that stops them that we want to address right now?
I think, writing a book for me, I can talk about my experience because I'm in the depths of writing my own book right now because I've done like group ones, like a couple of those, and I have seen, I have heard all the stories, and I have a little bit of PTSD about it. So, because I've heard people spending gobs of cash and then it just, psh, and I'm like, that's not going to be me. I don't want that to be me. And I also feel like I've struggled a little bit with like creating a book because I'm in social media, digital marketing. It changes every time I blink my eyeballs. I need to make it relevant and evergreen forever. And so it took me some time to kind of have that clarity that it was always going to be about my framework that I have in my agency, my Fan Firestarter Framework. And that's what the book is on because it could be an author that picks it up. It could be a small business owner. It could be a speaker. It could be, it could be an academic who's like, how do I do this social media thing? They can pick it up, they can read through it. And the point of my book is one to get rid of the objections of people coming into my program, be like, you don't have a book, what do you know? I have PTSD is what I have from all of you giving me all of the knowledge that you've shared. So thank you so much. Um, that's what I have. Working with all of you beautiful people. And then the other side of that is kind of walking through the process of doing the book. I've uncovered a lot of the similarities of like vulnerability, of like ick, of like cringe, of all the things. And I'm right there with you. And it's going to be a journey. And I'm about to get my draft back. I'm working with a ghostwriter transparently, because if I were to write it, it would never be done. And I do have over 4 years worth of blog content that talks about my framework in various different ways. And so I really wanted it to be that easy read that someone could pick it up and read it from DC to Nashville, 2.5 hour flight, and get through it all. And then either know what they're doing next or reaching out and calling me. That's,
Yeah, Carlin, we're gonna have you come back when you launch your book to talk about
yeah,
specifically about your book because I think
happy
really,
to.
yeah, let's make sure we put a pin on that because as soon
Yeah,
as you're ready to launch, you come back and talk about it, and we make sure that it launches with the book, okay? Because I
sounds
think it's
good.
really important. Like for me, I couldn't write the book because at that time I didn't
Mhm.
know that my chemo-induced menopause was giving me brain fog. I thought it was chemo brain, so I couldn't write. I
Oh,
had to orally dictate my book onto Word doc through
wow.
their mic thing. Their yeah, your mic the voiceover thing, and they would just write and then correct any of the grammar and submit that, and the editor fixed it.
Wow.
I couldn't write like
So if
I've
y'all are
only
having excuses that I can't write things,
used that, folks. Like seriously, it was that was the only way I wrote the book because when the first draft was due, was around the time my husband got into a terrible he was biking on his bicycle and a car tried to cut him off and he hit his bike brakes so hard he flipped his bike because he's clipped in through his shoes and he landed on his back and broke 12 ribs and
that one
that
sounds.
was when the first draft was due and I was supposed to launch in December and I couldn't do it because I was in the
Oh,
middle of nursing my husband with 24-hour pain medication throughout the night for like a week. So I couldn't put in my thing. And I remember, 'cause menopause is a whole new thing. You're too young, I think, to be dealing with it.
for
But like I
now,
was
but
like,
I feel like it's
girl,
knocking on the door.
perimenopause is no joke.
Yeah,
We'll have to have a
that's it.
separate
Yeah.
conversation about that. But like audience members, we've had guests about perimenopause and menopause. You want to make sure you start getting your base level blood work, so you at least have a base level a baseline to judge when you're starting to really drop certain levels and certain levels are climbing. And they're being more aware of that now, Karlyn. But I wish I had known. I could
We
have.
have to be our own best advocate in
You
the health
have to, and I
world.
think
Yeah.
so. We're going to relate it back to this, folks. Karlyn is going to be the person in your corner to help you be your very own best advocate.
Yeah.
There's no one way to do it. However, you want someone like Karlyn in your corner because she's going to give you like the industry secrets because she's heard everything that the rest of us went through. So make sure you get on that osnapsocial.com. Karlyn, thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed my time.
All right, audience members, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Dance to Heal podcast with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of inspiring triumph and learn more ways that you can heal yourself. To work with me and continue your journey, visit danceandheal.com. Are you ready to move?